He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall, and I guess you just rhyme with Bat Minutes!
Hello, and welcome to another week of Bat Minute Forever, the podcast where we're sort of stuck where we are, but in our dreams, we can watch every minute of Joel Schumacher's 1995 Batman Forever movie and talk about it minute by minute. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And I am your other host, John Parker, here to crack all the riddles left and right, or probably fail at cracking them like I have every other week. But, you know, we'll see.
I kind of almost feel a little bad for the Riddler in the fact that his riddles are so easily solved by people.
I know.
Every time they're brought up, he's instantaneously like, oh, that's what that is. Like, there's no, like, what could it possibly
There's
be?
not even like a scene of deliberation. It's always just like, oh, okay, yeah.
It's like literally might as well just have got like a penguin joke on the back of a penguin wrapper. Just like, what's this going to...
It's for our American listeners, that's a biscuit called a penguin, and they have terrible jokes on them.
Not even introduced me yet, and you're diverging.
That's perfectly normal, don't worry.
Oh yeah, so joining us this week, we have returning guests from the first two seasons, Pumpkin Bomber and former Ginger in China, Gaz Flint.
Hey everyone. Thanks for having me back, boys.
Hey.
Now he's a ginger in Manchester.
Yeah.
It's not got the same draw, though. Ginger in Manchester is like...
No.
There's at least 25% of the population probably ginger up there.
Half the bloody people there are Irish. You know?
But yeah, thanks for coming back. This week,
anytime. Just talking to my mates about Batman. We used to do this every weekend before I left Liverpool anyway.
Exactly. What more can you ask for? And you guys get to listen in, aren't you lucky?
But this was specifically talking about minute 28 of Batman Forever here, which begins with Bruce Wayne opening his envelope, and it ends a minute later with Edward Nygma returning home and using his clapper there. Of course he's the type of guy who has a clapper.
Of course. And returning home to his teen man cave.
Well, we'll get to it. Like, I just wanted... The thing, this is a weird week because it is like the first 2 minutes, all the stuff in Edward Nygma's apartment, there's just so much to get into. And then like the third minute is just like, there's not like, it's kind of goes back to like, there's not much going on there, but we'll make of it what we can. But yeah, so just jump on in here to, we'll say that I noted instantly that the first riddle left, of course, is in a black envelope with a green question mark, which is, of course, the flip of what we will know as the Riddler's trademark green, black on green. But I think this might be a reference to, because I went back and watched all the Frank Gorshin Riddler episodes from the 60s show. The first time you see the Riddler, he's wearing a green suit and a black hat with a green question mark on it. It looks exactly like this envelope. So I'm assuming this is a little nod by Joel Schumacher to be like, yep, this is like your first allusion to the Riddler here.
I think
there's a little nod to the '60s show with their first sighting of the Riddler and that.
Because you'd do them the other way round normally. You'd have a green envelope with a black question mark, which is what he's wearing, throughout most of it.
We get that later too. Like I think the opening of minute 3 of this week is like 9 seconds of just that envelope. It's like, oh man, you're not getting as much work with that one.
So the envelope, though, Bruce opens the envelope only to find it contains a pop-up book-style picture of his own face. And when he pulls the tab, I love this, when he pulls the tab, a riddle pops out. But the effect that it then puts on his face, did it remind anyone else of Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall when he's exploding on Mars?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like when his helmet's off and he's like, ah!
See, it didn't for me, but now that you say that, like, that's all I can see.
It looks the spitting image of him.
All that I got was when he opens it, there's those absolute cartoon sound effects.
Yeah, where do they come from? Are they meant to be diegetic? Like, what?
I think it's a very impressively made riddle as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he put in a little sound chip that had a little doink whenever it's.
It is well made. You're right. It looks really cool. It's like a ransom note, or like
Yeah.
a Sex Pistols album cover.
It's the amount of care gone into because when the jaw opens, like the flesh is all still linked up to the face.
Yeah.
So there's like you think if you're just half-assing it, you wouldn't bother doing that. But like he's spent a lot of time.
Yeah, I noticed that the eyes go like all googly when he opens it, but when it's kind of shut, he's got normal eyes, and I was just like, how has he made those googly eyes come out?
Yeah.
I know. I tried to look at it frame by frame to see how it happened. I think they just pop down over the eyes. You know, when he pulls the tab, I think they come down, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Well, it's so. If he wasn't such a good scientist, Edward Nygma could have had a career in the arts. This is very, very impressively put together.
He could have saved Hallmark because they're going under, aren't they? Well, Clinton's cards in the UK are, at least.
Unless he's sent off for this, like, what do you call that company? Moonpig.
Oh, I only buy cards from Moonpig because it's so
Yeah.
easy. I can do it in like 5 seconds on my phone.
But you find out like that's how Batman actually susses out who the Riddler is later. It's like Edward Nygma's been placing all these orders to Moonpig for customized cards that he can send to Bruce Wayne.
No, he won't pay the Moonpig prices. He's going to the alternative. He's going on funkypigeon.com. It's a bit cheaper, that.
Look, we'll get into this later though, because when you see Edward Nygma's apartment, you're kind of led to believe, like, much like Selena Kyle apparently was last season, like, this guy must be in dire straits. Like, he looks like he's living in a really cheap place. But then, so is Wayne Tech Enterprises not paying its employees properly?
Yeah, so really, it's the story of an evil capitalist who's not paying the workers.
Maybe it's, Bruce Wayne taking tips from Max Schreck. Because I always thought that was slightly. Well, that was the thing. We had that conundrum last season where, like, even like the set designers kept saying, like, oh, Selena Kyle's living in this really like small, kind of crappy apartment and stuff, and it's not impressive. And then us as people who have been out in the world looked at that apartment and was like, that's a pretty nice place.
Yeah.
Considering like a major metropolitan city. Like, that's actually a fairly big apartment. But
I've lived much worse places than that.
yeah. So like, at the same time, like Edward Nygma's place is like, it's like a little railroad apartment. But it's like, I don't know, man. This is, consider too, like, if you consider Gotham is New York or New Jersey, as it's supposed to be, that'd probably still be like $2,000 a month or something just for that little place.
Like London prices.
Yeah.
Oof.
But anyway, we're not there. We're not there yet. But,
Yeah, we're not at his apartment yet. I've got a lot to add about that.
Well, I love the woman's reaction here when he does pull the tab and the face goes all crazy because she says, "That's hideous." And I just thought that was, what? The picture of Bruce? Harsh, all tea, all shade, hunty.
Yeah, just like had to cut out at the end as Bruce going, by the way, Maggie, you're fired.
You're fired.
Get the hell out. It's still, I know it's distorted, but it's still a picture of my face. I'm actually quite curious as to who the teeth belong to, because that ain't Bruce Wayne's teeth.
Oh, well, maybe they're his real teeth. Maybe he's got flippers in. Like those kids on the, the pageants. They put those fake teeth in because kids have hideous bones protruding from their face.
I thought you were going to say the kid from Stranger Things, like when he's out.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't have the front teeth, but like every time I ever see him, though, I think maybe because everybody just knows, so like no one's. You think like they would give him like dentures or something to wear out in real life, but no, he's still rocking just the no teeth look. Like,
Well, that's his shtick now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. But one thing I will add though, and people who listen to the show will know my feelings on the topic, and I was surprised to see this actually come up, where I kept saying my idealized version of like the name Edward Nygma is very, very silly. And it's a bit too silly because it's just like his name is literally Edward Nygma, and it's like Enigma and blah, 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 blah.
Get it? Enigma. Oh.
But I've always said what I ideally would have done was like the Riddler when he starts off, he's trying to make his name be Mr. Enigma.
Yeah.
He's leaving. He's actually called something else, but then he wants to be known as Enigma, as like because he thinks like, oh, that's so clever of me. And then the papers are just calling him the Riddler because they don't get the joke or whatever.
Yeah, annoy him.
But actually, in the original Bachelor draft, mentions Margaret comes in, and she's talking about like, oh yeah, the envelope left for you. It's like, oh, the Societies of Ladies of Gotham call hourly to find out who you'll be taking to the circus. And then at the back of the envelope handed him is marked Enigma.
Oh.
And Bruce goes, oh, Enigma, cute. And it's like, that's kind of what I was hoping for. Like, that's the way I always thought they should have been going with it. The thing is, though, guys, you won't know this, and I'll be curious as to your feelings on this topic. In the Bachelor draft, the original draft of the script, the name Edward Nygma was exercised, except for that one reference that I just mentioned there now. He was in that draft, he was called Lyle Heckendorf.
What?
Yeah. I know you're more of a comics purist kind of guy. What are your feelings on Edward Nygma versus Lyle Heckendorf?
Well, Lyle, where have they got Lyle Heckendorf from?
I've tried looking it up to see if it's a reference to something. It's just like, I think they just literally pulled it out of their ass.
If they wanted to change his name, why didn't they call? Is it Edward Nashton? They sometimes call him in the comic.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
Why didn't they just go with that?
And that makes sense because then he can use that to make the Enigma name.
Yeah, exactly. I can't even remember what Lyle Heckendorf.
Lyle Heckendorf, yeah. But yeah, so I'm assuming you're on the side of Edward Nygma then. And,
yeah, well, it is no one's ever going to be called that. But
Nygma.
It fits his character.
And I'm sure the New Hampton Nygmas are furious hearing their names when called out here. Interesting though, in the Bachelor draft, I'm assuming because it's the first draft, they're like, we'll make something better later, but they have a different riddle than the one that pops up in the movie.
Oh, good, because this is stupid.
Well, this isn't even really a riddle though. This is apparently the note reads, "When first I appear, it will be mysteriously, but when I'm explained, you'll take me seriously. Signed, the Riddler."
Oh, I
so
like that.
at this point, he's already calling himself. He's done the Enigma thing at the back, which I'm all for. And then he's gone, oh, by the way, I'm also called the Riddler.
I've got two names.
Make up your damn mind.
I go by many names.
I know you seem to have negative feelings towards this, John. I actually quite like this. Like right. If you look at the numbers on my face, you won't see 13 any place.
What I hate about it, right, is I think, to me, someone who hates riddles, is a good riddle is one that it's difficult to get the answer, but there is one answer, right? This, I would argue the answer could be anything at all, because if you look at the numbers on my face, you won't find 13 any place. I'd suggest you could say, well, eyes. I've only got 2 of them. It doesn't have to be a bloody clock. You could answer this with anything.
I think because it's specifically saying 13 though, because it.
Well, yeah, but that's what's stupid.
Yeah, 1 to 12, as he says.
Yeah, I think that's actually in there. I almost felt that was a bit like, oh, we better make it clear for people because, like, Bruce is sussing it out. He's just like, okay, numbers on my face, 1 to 12. Oh, the answer is a clock. But like, I think that you could have left him out saying 1 to 12. He could have just been instantly like, oh, it's a clock.
Well, I don't think he should have got it instantly either. As we said, that's another problem. He gets this in a split second, making it pointless. He should take this back to the Batcave and sort of muse. I get it. We're supposed to think, oh yeah, he's super clever. But the Riddler's supposed to be super clever. He's meant to be tricking him.
Yes. There should have been things like he could have been accumulating these riddles. And then later on in the movie, when Dick Grayson wants to be involved, and Bruce is like, I don't want you anywhere near this. Get your Dick Grayson college student. That's your future and stuff. It should have been Dick Grayson going, oh, that's a clock. That's a match.
Yeah.
That's a tennis court. All this kind of thing.
Because Batman's so clever, he's overthinking it almost.
Yeah. Well, you can totally go down that angle. And then they could have been like, oh, this kid could be useful.
Speaking of that, I'm guessing you've read Detective Comics issue 140. Did you see, like, the opening panels where Riddler's supposed to be at school and they draw him like he's a 40-year-old man, like they do for the rest of the issue? Like, seriously, he's got receding hair and lines on his face. And he's supposed to be in school.
Yeah, Gaz, you're talking to a man who had a receding hairline at age 18. Okay, so
yeah, but he's supposed to be like, what, 15 here?
It's relatable.
Oh, I took it that he was in like university at least. I thought he was like maybe early 20s.
Okay, I saw that as being in school.
I will say though, like he does look loads like Frank Gorshin. Like I know they must have been casting Frank Gorshin, like get a guy who looks like that freaking comic book character, and they happened to get a guy who was literally perfect for the character, the version of the Riddler he was playing. But and when you see him, it is really like, oh fuck yeah, he does look loads like what the guy they ended up casting as the Riddler.
I love this dialogue as well, where she says to Bruce, who would send you a riddle? And he just goes, that, Meg, is the riddle.
So there you go. You're saying you don't like this actual riddle about a clock, but he said that's not the real riddle. The real riddle is who sent it.
See, I do like that. Because maybe it's deliberately easy. Maybe the actual riddle being easy is part of the point. He wants to make Batman confused. Yeah. Now that I can buy.
But if I were Bruce Wayne, I'd be like, oh, the real riddle is, how did this get on my desk? Like, why? What levels of security does Wayne Tech have where a weird stalker can get in to leave this thing on my desk? Like, he's been in my office now.
Yeah.
How did this happen? Like, this is what aren't I paying security guards? What's going on here?
There didn't seem to be any there that night. And they look at the security tapes, which have been tampered with somehow, and there's no real explanation.
Well, that's another thing then. So, are we to assume that this was left the same night as the murder of Fred Stickley, and then this would take? Like, Edward Nygma must have literally not gone home, basically. Like,
well, I got the impression he went home, made this, and brought it in.
Like, again, Bruce Wayne could be like, okay, so who was checking into the building throughout the evening? And then you'd be like, oh, well, Edward Nygma left, and then he came back at like 5 a.m. or something. Because maybe you could be like, oh, maybe a lot of people, maybe the cleaners and stuff come in at that point. Actually, yeah, maybe there is a bit more. Like, there's tons. There could be literally dozens and dozens of people around this building at all hours of the night and stuff. But.
Yeah, and he could be dressed as a cleaner. Yeah. Or what I thought, there's no evidence for this as such, it's just my headcanon. I thought he did the deed, went home, this all came to him, he knocked this thing up, and he brought it with him this morning, and he's just dropped it off there minutes ago.
Yeah.
Somehow, in the confusion, everyone's upset, he slipped that onto the desk.
But I guess we just have to be something if he formally sent it, and it was actually like I had to pay postage and that and everything. It's like,
sent it in the mail, recorded delivery.
I have to go into the post office. Like, oh, I'm gonna have to weigh that. Like, oh god, it's like, can we ask you what's in this? Like, it's a riddle. Like, they're sending a riddle. It's a riddle with like loads of little moving parts and stuff, and it's like it's got moving parts. It's not a bomb. It's just a riddle. Okay.
You'd probably just say it's a card.
But then that's opening him up to investigation, because Batman might go round to the post office and say, has any mysterious people come in?
There's Batman himself going around to the post office.
Maybe he frequents his local post office.
Just waiting in line behind everyone else. Like, oh, excuse me. The man come in here with a slightly larger than normal envelope.
With a big question mark on it. Surely you'd remember that. You can't get a lot of mail with a big question mark on it. How did you even know where to deliver it? It only had a question mark.
Hey, if anybody gives us the top tier on Patreon, where me and Niall send them an autographed Blu-ray, which I've put on. If anybody does...
hold on, what Blu-ray are you going to autograph?
We're going to autograph the box set of all four.
I thought we were going to get a DVD a Blu-ray of DC Cabs or something.
So, a signed picture of Sean Connery. What was it? Signed picture of Sean Connery by Roger Moore.
Well, that's what's funny. It's to do with us. We're going to autograph the Blu-ray as a joke.
If people want us to add that as an addition to that tier, I will happily sign a picture of Sean Connery with the name Roger Moore and send it to you.
Yeah, we will also do that. We'll include it, and we'll send it in a question mark envelope. Currently, that tier is only available in the UK because I didn't figure out the difference in price to send to the US. But if you're interested, message us and I'll figure it out for you.
But anyway, yeah, so I read Detective Comics 140 and the first riddle in the comics. Because I was like really curious, what's his first riddle? And would you include the thing about a banquet? Is that a riddle?
It's one of those ones though, as the riddles continue, they get more and more sort of like, again, like John was saying, it's just like, well, this could be anything. Like, they start getting into like really weird territories. There's a whole big thing about a giant piece of corn at one point in that issue. And I remember when reading that, and like, this is just what the hell is this?
Oh no, I've got the corn riddle wrote down. What is it? It's when is the corn get hard to get out of or something? Oh, why is a piece of corn hard to escape from?
Oh yeah, because it's a maze.
It's a maze.
Oh, that's a good one. See, that's a good riddle.
Or as the Native Americans call it, maze. There's the Simpsons reference for this episode of
Oh, yeah. We don't normally announce them. They're usually... You can tell we're doing them because we just affected new voice, basically.
Anyone who's not read a comic from 80 years ago, Batman then has to go and find the Riddler in a maze.
That's actually also used in the 60s show. I think it might be the first episode of the Riddle. They also bring in the corn maze riddle too. So I guess I suppose if you're going to do the character, you're like, well, better go back to the start and find out where this guy came from. I think that's what I remember them saying. That's what they did for Heath Ledger with like the Dark Knight. Like they're like, oh, this is based on the Joker from like those first couple of issues. I was like, really? It doesn't seem like he is, but I'll take your word for it, Chris. But
to segue into the next moment now, back on his first riddle, is on the crisscross board.
Oh, yeah.
Which we then see in the next scene, don't we?
Yeah, and I genuinely loved this crisscross thing because just watching the movie normally, I'd never paid attention to that. Why would I? What's the point? But not only do I love that it's a big neon green sign, because that's just very fitting for this movie.
Yeah.
The more neon, the better. How original. But crisscross laundry it's for, and it looks like a crossword puzzle.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I thought was great that he lives opposite this, because maybe he enjoys a good crossword, and this has influenced him.
I was thinking that. Is he like, can he see it? Is he sleeping maybe? So the neon green and the idea of a puzzle has influenced him?
Yeah, seeping into his brain.
And also, as you alluded to there, Gaz, in that first issue with the Riddler, because this is crisscross laundry, there's a giant sign in that first issue for the Cross Cleaning Company that looks pretty much identical to this crossword puzzle thing. So, except it's yellow. And then I guess Schumacher's like, nah, make it green. And I will take this as a deliberate reference to, that was the first issue with the Riddler. Now we get to see the origins of the Riddler, so we put in a thing from that first comic.
Have you talked about how that's where he puts his first riddle, the big crisscross sign, and what it is already?
No, we've not mentioned it yet. No.
Okay. Yeah. Well, shall I go ahead?
Oh yeah, go by all means.
Well, it's I don't know how they'd have done this whenever. Well, it's first published, 1948, was it? When Riddler was introduced? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what technology they were thinking of at the time, but it's a giant billboard where they put crossword puzzles upon it every day. And the Riddler manipulates that to leave his first riddle for Batman.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, they kind of do it. I think the first riddle he leaves in the animated series is on one of those, the things you always see, like, total blackout in Springfield, where it's like an electronic sign that's saying it, even though it's a total blackout and stuff. Those things, it's like circle buildings, basically, with like neon news headlines. I think he leaves like the first riddle on one of those, which is kind of like the same idea, I think, really.
Yeah. But it was like, I was reading about this first riddle, so he puts like, there's three different questions. With the answers, first one, water utensil, which is basin. Next one is a public way, street. And it's formal dinner, banquet. It's basin, street, banquet.
Oh,
but it's not a... Have you read about this?
No, I haven't. I think Niall probably has.
Yeah, so that's where he's saying he's going to commit his first crime at the Basin Street banquet. So Batman and Robin go to like the mayor who's having a dinner, but it wasn't this banquet. It's bank-wet. The Riddler has flooded a bank.
Oh, clever. I like it.
We'll get into this more and more as it goes on, but like I think it is a thing with the Riddler. It's like his riddles are always kind of cheating as well. There's always this real element of like, well, you got it right, but I didn't want you to get it right, so I've actually gone and done something slightly different that's still technically within the realm of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's the same as bloody Two-Face cheating the coin-all movie.
Well, maybe that's why they get on so well. It's just like, oh yeah, we like Omar Najam said last season, like, I too have a bit, but I also like to manipulate my bits to whatever the hell I want it to be. So.
Yeah.
Well, on the Batman Wikia, I was looking up on it, Detective Comics 140 after I'd read it, and the opening line summing up the story is, Edward Nygma is a genius at puzzles who cheats at them.
Yeah. Does that make you a genius, then?
No, it doesn't.
A genius doesn't need to cheat. But it's funny though.
It is always the Riddler's. It's always his thing. It's like they actually do have a little bit of it in this film. It's like he's just a very. At the end of it all, he's always a very small, petty guy. Like he can never believe that Batman's actually solved his puzzles. He's always like, "Oh, you must have cheated somehow," and everything about it is just like, "Oh, I'm such a grand genius, but I'm also cheating on these things myself and stuff." At the end of the day, it's like, oh, he's a guy with a real ego problem where he wants to believe he's the smartest man alive. But at the end of the day,
other than me, of course.
But he also just has this thing of just like, oh yeah, I totally cheated, but you don't know that I cheated on that. Like it's just, and throughout this movie, there's always this constant illusion of like how suave and stuff he thinks he is later on, but he's still just kind of copying Bruce Wayne. He still makes him seem like a very small, very, very petty little man. But
well, and as suave as he tries to appear later, the complete opposite here, because you see the front door of his apartment and he's got a no trespassing sign on it, like a 13-year-old boy's bedroom.
That's what literally my note is, like, no trespassing sign. Is this guy 15?
We all had one of these.
I've got written down, what are all these keys for on his keyring?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
It just reminded me of in Seinfeld. There's a famous episode where Jerry gives Kramer the spare keys to his apartment, and it's a normal key ring, and then Kramer comes in with this giant loop with about 50 keys on it. It's like, oh, you can have my keys as well, and just throws them on his table. It's this massive crash as they land and stuff. And it's like, why the hell do you have so many keys? Well, I have my fingers so many pies, Jerry. What are you talking about?
That's the best answer as well, because it leaves you guessing.
I was just thinking, where does he keep this large keyring? Does he keep? Because he's not got a bag. Is he putting that in his pocket?
Well, I know people like this who, like, I don't understand. Like, they'll have their house key and their car keys, okay, and I'm like looking at them getting in their house and thinking, what are these other 52 keys for? What the hell are you doing in your day-to-day life?
That's one thing though I do wonder, because we did at least see in like the last minute. There was an allusion to that Bruce Wayne is a benevolent employer. Like, he'll give you the insurance payout, even if it's not included in the contract and stuff. So, you know, as I said earlier this episode, like, is he not paying his employees properly? Because it just seems like a real shithole apartment that he's got Edward Nygma living in. But it could also be that maybe Edward Nygma has, like, loads of storage lockers and stuff. Maybe all his money's going elsewhere because he's building the box. So he's got, like, 50 different storage units down somewhere. They've got all this random equipment and stuff in it. And you don't know what he's doing in there. Like, maybe all these keys genuinely do have a purpose of some sort that he's like, yeah, I've got, like, you know, this is just like a place where he lays his head, basically.
I was thinking, but where's it? We never see his bed. We just see a long, what looks like a hallway. So has he got another room in there?
No, I think he sleeps on the floor or something. He's one of those weirdos. Because, I mean, it does happen. I was watching recently on Netflix Queer Eye in Japan. And there was this is a very Japanese thing.
That was such a rip-off of Ginger in China.
yeah. Completely stole the concept. But this is a very Japanese thing. Like, this person was so dedicated to their work that they'd kind of turned their bedroom into part of their office and things. So they didn't have a bed. They just slept on the floor. They just got a pillow and went on the floor. It's like, oh my God.
I think that's more just an Asian thing, and like in places like Tokyo, apartment prices are just a bit expensive, and plus they do just live in small apartments over there.
Yeah, this was a small place. I think that was the problem. So once the work intruded into the bedroom, there was no bedroom anymore. Like, screw it, I'll go on the floor. It's fine.
I'm wondering now. It's getting curiouser and curiouser though, because a guy we all know, you know, Michael Davey, who's a guy from Asian, of Asian heritage. I remember distinctly in university in his halls, because they had a mandatory cleaner who came around and cleaned everybody's rooms every once in a while, and like everyone hated her because you'd be lying around hungover, and all of a sudden this woman comes in. And he used to get around that. He's like, oh, I don't use my bed. I put all my stuff that I need on top of the bed, and then I sleep on the floor. What? And that's what he used to do. He used to sleep on the floor and then have all his crap on the bed.
Oh,
so
no.
it would never, like, the cleaner would never need to come in. She'd just be like, oh, well, the floor seems tidy enough, I guess. So that's all I need to deal with. And then, that was his bizarre way around that, was just to sleep on the floor.
Jesus.
And then just pile everything on top of his bed.
Well, that's what Edward Nygma's doing, I think. Look, the work's too important. He needs that space for more equipment. He can't have a bed.
So one thing I've gone to for notes is a bizarre gold mine sometimes. Is looking up these scenes on YouTube and then going into the comments section. And you get people come out with weird things. But someone was saying, like, oh yeah, in New York, this apartment would still probably be like $2,000 a month. Probably. And then everyone was saying, well, there's no space to put anything. It's like, what you do is that you build vertically. You're thinking of the horizontal, now it's time for the vertical. And so Edward Nygma's bed could be like hanging from the roof for all we know or something.
You know what? I'm looking at it again, and I think we're all stupid. I think it's just there on the left-hand side.
There's a ladder, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a ladder that goes up to something that we don't see.
Well, again, that's exactly what they do on Queer Eye in Japan, is because normally on Queer Eye, there's a guy who does the house up. And obviously in Japan, that's a very different prospect to when they're in America. So, yeah, he thinks vertically when he's there. He'll go up, like beds will be elevated. There'll be little staircases up to the bed, and the staircase will pull out. So the stairs are drawers, all kinds of weird things like this.
Well, the one thing I know, even outside the apartment, though, because I do love the skylights. He's got like the spider web looking skylights. They're pretty cool looking for me personally. But on the side of the building, there's this bizarre thing. Like, it looks like there's a window, but then it's got like a rectangular metal coming out of it. And then at the end of that, it's just a metal slate. And if you go like to the minute, like 41 seconds in, it looks like in season 3 of Twin Peaks, like the thing you would be catching lodge spirits in.
Oh my God.
Nygma's got slightly on the outside of his house or something.
Is this the exterior or the interior?
This is the exterior.
Right, okay.
What is this thing?
I was saying that. It's just a weird shaped building, isn't it? Like,
yeah. I guess also the fact that he's near a railway, as we all know from like the Blues Brothers and stuff, that's an indication that he's living in a crap hole. That's like, if you're right next to the train, that's the worst possible place you live.
Hey, that's the same here, to be honest. The trains here in Liverpool, they're very loud.
Yeah, but again, though, YouTube comments apparently doesn't matter. that apartment will still cost you an absolute fortune.
Again, same in London. Doesn't matter. They don't give a damn. You're paying. You'll pay through the nose for a room.
Well, I was just like, I remember watching that scene of it just panning down past the crisscross laundry sign, which we've talked about. It looked almost like, I don't know, it looked kind of Tim Burton, just like the way the buildings and everything looked.
Yeah, the way they're weird, like angles on them and shapes.
Yeah, and it still, there's a hint of Tim Burton still in this movie at times.
He's just hanging out in the back, like, just give me the apartment. Just let me do something with the apartment. All right, Tim, you can do the apartment.
Well, we've said before, although he's technically the producer, he has no hand in this. Really. Yeah, so maybe it's just like a little bit of courtesy to him.
Maybe, but also I was thinking, like, what floor is the Riddler on? Why is this sign so high up, this crisscross laundry sign? Because I've lived in Hong Kong, which is the most high-rise city in the world, and sometimes you do see signs on, like, 10 stories up or something for everyone around so they can see it out the window. But there's not a lot. And you never see, like, a laundry sign either. So the laundries would be on the bottom floor. Yeah. Because everyone always needs to use laundry. So, yeah, I don't know. That got me thinking anyway. Like, who's looking at this green laundry sign?
Like, all the neighbors have noticed that Edward Nygma kind of stinks. So, like, we're forked out. We've got a giant laundry sign that's going to be right beside his apartment. There's no way he can't have it in his head to wash his damn clothes.
Or rather, like, does this tell us all we need to know about his character? Because he's got the opportunity to live quite a well-off, decent life. But his like obsessions are focused elsewhere, and he makes do with the bare essentials to plow every part of his mind, his body, his brain, everything into the work.
It could be a bit like Silicon Valley, like the TV show, not the actual valley.
Yeah,
but all the guys in that, they're just like brilliant, genius scientists, but they don't know how to dress themselves. They don't really care about anything. They're basically, we just live in this think tank with this other guy who's thought of that stuff for us, basically.
Yeah.
And it's just everything. And it's like, I don't care what clothes I'm wearing. I don't care what car I drive. I don't care what I'm eating. I don't care about anything about that. Everything is going towards the work. So I guess the illusion would be that like, oh, Edward Nygma is just like a, guy's so wrapped up, even alluding to in the previous week, like he's wearing the same clothes we've seen him in since the beginning. Like he probably hasn't changed. He's literally just been going around in the same underwear probably for like 5 days now. He just doesn't. That's not his. Although I will say though, I actually quite like Edward Nygma's style here. Like I
love it.
Like I like the trench coat. I like the floppy hair, and glasses. I like the quasi Kangol cap thing he's got going there.
I thought of that because it reminded me. Although I like it on him, it reminded me of that period where Tarantino was trying to be cool and wore the Kangol caps to be like Samuel L. Jackson, and that was quite embarrassing. And he started affecting that accent.
I think that must have been really awkward for Samuel L. Jackson too, because he knows fine, right? Like he'd be coming in seeing Quentin wearing that, been like, "What are you doing? Like, who do you think you are?"
It was embarrassing. As much as I love Tarantino, at the same time, he is a cringy, embarrassing weirdo.
Oh, you could also put him in that same boat though, of like, because I remember like way back when he first started, he used to come out in the black and white suits, a la Reservoir Dogs and stuff, as if that was like, okay, I guess I'm wearing this now for the interviews because this is all I don't really know anything about style. And then when as his career progressed, he was making other movies. Like I'm dressing like Samuel L. Jackson now because again, I don't know anything about style. I'm just going to copy this guy.
Yeah,
and it could be the same thing where he just like all the mentality was just going into the scripts and the directing and the movies and stuff, and so he doesn't have any clue about how to carry himself off as a person and any other aspects, which is quite true if you see Quentin Tarantino interviewed. Like he does seem like this guy doesn't know how to act around people. He's
very odd.
Yeah.
And so hold on, we're comparing Edward Nygma to Quentin Tarantino here.
I get the vibe. I think that they're connected.
Sort this out in my own head. What?
I think they look the same and act kind of the same.
I would love if for some reason they cast Quentin Tarantino as the Riddler.
Yes.
He actually would look like the comic book version, that version you were talking about, Gaz.
Definitely would, yeah. Like, elongated
perfect.
Chin as well that he has. Are we going to talk about the flaming lips this episode, or should we leave it till next episode?
I think leave it to next episode.
Yeah. So I
But
will mention one thing though. You see lots of cool things going on here, which we'll get more into. But on the right, you've got like a poster that's got a Riddler-looking character on it.
That weirdly reminded me. I don't know if you guys remember the movie Brain Scan with Edward Furlong, and it had
vaguely.
It was awful. It was one of those movies that I was kind of really wanted to see when I was a kid because I kept seeing the video cover and it looked really cool. And then when I saw, I think it was all on YouTube or something a couple years back, and I finally watched it and I was like, oh, this is absolutely terrible. But the whole thing is like Edward Furlong gets a DB-ROM game that's essentially like haunted. And as he plays it and he kills people, people die in real life and stuff. But there's a kind of very blatantly like Beetlejuice-inflected character called the Trickster. And when he shows up, I'll send a picture actually in the Skype here so you guys can see.
Oh, wow, yeah, that looks weird. It's not so much like Beetlejuice, but like a...
Yeah, it's Beetlejuice in like the aspect that he's like a mischievous, malignant figure who shows up.
Ooh, that's like a Buffy demon.
He actually is totally. I wouldn't be surprised if that actor ended up playing demons and Buffy, frankly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, because the fact that it's also called Brain Scan, and the whole thing is about like Riddler's whole thing is like, scanning your brain, and he's got a picture of a guy in a jacket box who looks loads like the Trickster from from a movie called Brain Scan. I was like, I was wondering if there was any chance that there was an actual illusion. That Joel Schumacher or someone on the set design was like, I went to see this movie last night. I think that would be a pretty nice addition to throw in. The other thing, the relevance of that picture is that it's got like ginger hair and like kind of bright, vibrant ginger hair. And the Riddler's look later on when he gets the bright orange flat top.
Yeah,
I guess it's inspired by this. I'm assuming, but
that machine has kind of got ginger, but that's more natural looking.
It's got to be more of a brown, but
I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it is darker actually. Yeah, because it is weird because he goes full on orange. It is, as I've said before, it's Annie Lennox.
Well, you can see the hair dye on the side of his forehead.
Yeah,
I don't know how that got around the costume department.
Well, I suppose it looks like what it is. Like he's done it himself in this crappy apartment.
I guess so.
that's true.
Yeah, I guess so.
But anyway, of course, there's still loads to talk about, but we might as well leave that until the next minute, when we get deeper into the dark dankness of Edward Nygma's apartment. One thing, though, I've been doing this season, Gaz, I thought, like, I'll stretch it way out for this one, is that, like, on Monday, I will usually ask a riddle to the guest and John, see if they can get it, and if they don't, we'll reveal the answer on Friday. I keep saying this is the thing we always do. Some weeks I have forgotten to do this, but so apologies.
I noticed, but didn't want to be rude.
I think I got away with it last week because it's like, well, it's a bunch of different guests and stuff, so it's like I didn't want, it wouldn't work that way. But I've actually gone and researched what the first ever riddle was, or one of the first recorded riddles. So this is this is a Sumerian riddle. From before the recording of time, basically
in the dark times.
But and the thing is, there's the direct translation is a bit of a mouthful, but there is also a shortened version. But so anyway, riddle me this: a house based on a foundation like the skies, a house one has covered with a veil like a secret box, a house set on a base like a goose. One enters it blind, leaves it seeing. Or the shortened version is, there is a house, one enters it blind and comes out seeing. What is it?
Let me think about that one. Okay, yeah, I'll think about that.
Yeah, we're going to have to mull that over all week, I think.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. As always, I can never get these goddamn riddles.
Those ancient Sumerians apparently knew how to do a good riddle, apparently.
Well, as you all ponder that Sumerian riddle, we will depart into the dark, dark night. Gaz, would you like to tell people where they can find you online if they want to talk to you and shout at you about Batman?
I'm just on Facebook. You look up Gaz Flint. I did a YouTube blog about my travels around Asia, but I didn't do one for a while because I lived in Hong Kong for like 4 years, so it wasn't like this new strange thing, me living in Asia. It just became the norm. But I went back to visit Hong Kong last month, and I wrapped it up. I did one last video. So you can see the finale of A Ginger in Asia. If you just YouTube Ginger in Asia. There's my YouTube channel.
Well, hopefully you'll do a one-off special one day in like 20-odd years. So.
It's done. It's done. It's done. I'm done with it. That part of my life's over.
Oh, no. We'll convince you. We'll make that a Patreon tier.
If you pay me, then anything's.
Well, there you go, folks.
Anything's
donate,
up for debate.
Donate. And come and join us on Facebook at the Bat Minute Listeners Cave, and we're on Twitter at Bat Minute. Check out the Patreon. Buy a shirt on TeePublic, and I don't know, Instagram. We're on there, the Bat Minute, because we're the #1. If there's any other Bat Minutes, they're crap. They're fake. They're rubbish. Throw them into the sea. And we will see you again on Wednesday for more Bat Minutes Forever.
Next time, Jigsaw Letter Japery. A hovel-housed anchorite informs his bionic buddy of his homicidal tendencies, all to the sounds of psychedelic melodies. But while a mess of majuscules are melded via mucilage to make another mysterious message, whose residents will be riled by this recondite correspondence? Find out Wednesday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute! Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.